We used a lot of that information through, and hopefully you've experienced it in the last almost 12 months, where we started making transitional changes with menus across the club. Not big changes, but we just did tweaks and tunes to try and understand what people were looking for, and using that feedback to actually then go and write our next menus, as opposed to me saying, well, I like hot dogs and hamburgers. So that's got to be on every menu. So we're using, and we continue to encourage our members more so than we did in the past to give us that feedback so we can use that information. And one interesting learning curve was, we're at the American club, but one of the biggest things we learnt was to not take the yakisoba off the menu.
It's very interesting. I think it's probably a lot of your Americans, but not just them. Everyone that's here in Japan, they want yakisoba.
Right.
That's one of the perks of being here.
Yeah, exactly. So that process of where we were 12 months ago, and again, we're much further down the path of coming out of or learning to live more so with COVID than what we were even 12 months ago. So some of the things that I mentioned to you was about that community spirit. So we've got the first Fridays that are back. Our banquet business is doing relatively well. You walk into any of the outlets, they're generally full.
Don't let it be a weekend.
Don't let it.
Then you have to wait.
Yes, correct. Yeah. Right. So again, we're trying to think about how we can speed up that process and not have people waiting. It's difficult when you get hit all at the same time, but again, my role, as I think I mentioned to you, is to try and get people to think outside the square. Not saying that everything in the past didn't work, because it did, but times have changed also, so we need to try and look at how, instead of waiting, on a Saturday or Sunday to get into the outlet, how do we manage that better so that people can come in and go off and do what they need to do, as opposed to sitting in a line waiting for a table in a restaurant.
Have the families increased?
Families have definitely increased, yeah.
With children?
100%. So one of the big, an incredible upkick we saw with members coming back to the club was when we did something as simple as reopen our play area, our outdoor play area.
I noticed that over the weekend, that's right.
Yes, and literally from the day we opened it, the families came back, and then we've been doing, promotions in bowling where you can actually eat and drink in the bowling alley, as opposed to before you could not. And and again, I think there's been a lot of work in the last certainly since the new board came on, which was then my second month in. There's been a lot more collaboration around, what are the quick wins, what are the tactical stuff that we could work on for this year. And moving forward, hopefully now we can get more into the strategic stuff.